Hello, Sagittarians. This is Karen, the Forest Empress, and I am here with your May mid-month tarot card reading. I have done a cross spread for you, and at the end we will pull a Power Animal Oracle card to tie the whole reading together. So the first card that we have is representing the past and the influence the past is having now during these 2 weeks, last 2 weeks of May. The first card we have coming up is the Devil card. So you might have been overindulging in the earlier part of May, or maybe fell into some bad habits. But this is in the past, so hopefully this is something that you've dealt with and overcome, or maybe are in the process of recognizing those overindulgences and handling them now. This can also be a card of self-imposed restrictions, as these two humans are bound to each other. They are not bound to anything else. So sometimes if we think we don't have any options, there are options there. It just might not be, within our realm of thinking. So sometimes you need to think outside of the box to get out of this. This could also represent an obstacle that can't necessarily be fully overcome, but it can be worked around if you can get creative. This is also a favorable card for marriage and relationships, oddly enough, because it actually refers to unbreakable bonds. Maybe these are things that have come up in your recent past, but let's look into your future. The second card we have is the obstacles in your path during these last 2 weeks of May. So the obstacle that we're dealing with here is the Knight of Wands. I would be careful about boasting, even if you are, even if you have all these successes, or you have these accomplishments that you want to share. There's a fine line between telling people about it and boasting about it. So this would advise against the boasting. This is a card of expansion, which is great for Sagittarians because you're ruled by Jupiter, which is the planet of expansion. This reminds us to take risks and be passionate about those risks, because even if we are unsure of ourselves, if we go in with that, fully passionate attitude, it is going to render you success. Take pride in who you are, don't deny who you are, and, know what it is that you have to offer and stand behind it. So this is something that could be obstacles in your path. We can look at the influences working in your favor, but I think in terms of this being an obstacle, the message here would be that, once you do know who you are and know where you're coming from, know what you have to offer, you can kind of be like you don't have to boast or be up in everyone's business with it. You can go about it in a more diplomatic way and allow people to kind of see for themselves what wonderful things you have to offer. Now, influence that's working in your favor, we have the Ten of Wands in reverse. So this is a reminder to clearly define your goals, because as you are manifesting things with your thoughts, you want to make sure that you are manifesting, what you want, how you want it. And so think about specifics. And, if there are parts of your life that need to make changes, this card could come up where there is a need for some change in some part of your life. So that's kind of up to you to recognize what aspect of your life that is in, where those changes need to be made. But because this guy has a good handle on the amount of wands that he has, which is quite a few, there's 10 of them, he has a good balance, and he has a way of kind of holding them together where he is able to move them. So while things might be difficult or burdensome in some way, using tact and using your great intelligence, which Sagittarians are known for because they're all about higher learning and mind expansion. This is something that you can get creative with, finding the right solution to whatever is bugging you, or whatever, maybe with this Devil card that came up in the past, if that's what you're dealing with. This could also mean that you're expecting too much of yourself. Maybe you're being a little bit hard on yourselves, but yet you could also be resenting other people's demands on you. So there needs to be some kind of balance, much like how if this were upright, the guy has a great balance on how he's holding everything. You need to find that balance, because people are not going to realize that you have too much on your plate, and they are still going to bug you and ask make demands of you or ask things of you. So you need to kind of filter those demands and see what you are capable of handling and what you maybe need to say no to. And that's totally fine if you need to do that. If you have other things you need to deal with, then you don't have to take on other people's stuff too. Now, in the near future, we have the Justice card. This is a reminder to stay balanced and be prepared. So whatever's coming up in your near future is actually pretty good, because this is a good card. As long as you are being honest with yourself and you realize that you reap what you sow, then you can have a good handle on not only the beginnings of whatever venture or whatever you're concerned about here, but the outcome of it as well. This card is also a reminder to not volunteer too much information. We don't want to share too much with other people because you don't really know how their response is going to be. So this could kind of be, if you have a new idea or a new creative venture, you might want to keep it close to yourself until you know more about it or you know how you want to go about it. Be truthful to yourself. As long as you are being truthful to yourself, other aspects of your life will improve, but you need to kind of face that head on first. And that's this idea of bringing justice to yourself. And this card is actually a good indicator of putting things in writing. So in this near future here, in these last 2 weeks of May, if you have an opportunity to journal, do a dream journal, maybe do some writing, even if you're writing emails, just be very delicate about what you say and make sure that you are diplomatic in your approach. Now, for the long-term future, which is actually a great card, we have the Two of Wands. So you can see this guy has his ball of the world, and then he has his 2 wands, and he is looking out at this fruitful horizon with all this water, and you can see there's green. So it's a very hopeful card, and it's a great card to get for your long-term future. If there are things in your life that seem disorganized, this recommends that you make a list. It'll actually help you analyze your thoughts better once you have that all. And that could be with, putting things into writing. Maybe if things seem frazzled, it would be a good idea to just kind of lay everything out on a piece of paper, and then that way you can organize your thoughts better. Now, this is also a reminder that whatever you're going through right now, you're not in this alone. There is a support system behind you. It's up to you to know who that is, and if needed, which you might actually need to, utilize that support. It can be hard to ask for help sometimes, but this would really benefit you if you have, especially if you have a partner or a spouse, you might want to maybe confide in them. If you had that idea that it was urging you not to really share your idea, like I mentioned earlier, maybe you just want to talk about it with your spouse, and sometimes it's better to get another set of ears, maybe bounce some ideas off of them before you bring it out further into the rest of the world. And also at this same time, this man seems very pensive. This could, in the long-term future, you could be doing some reflection, especially on how far you've come, because it looks like he's reflecting on what he has and what he is going towards. So that could be going along with clearly defining your goals, like we had with the 10 of Wands in reverse. And I think that'll help you kind of organize things better for how you want to move forward into June. Now, the eventual outcome, we have the Queen of Swords upright. Speak your truth. The Queen of Swords never has a problem speaking her mind, and though her words can sometimes be a little bit harsh, I don't think it'll be too bad for you Sagittarians, because Sagittarians, are known for kind of being very forthright and blunt, and that is something that me as a Pisces, I admire, because Pisces tend to kind of just dance around things, and we don't like confrontation or anything like that, but Sagittarians really speak their minds. And so this is urging you to do so towards the end of May. If there is something that needs to be spoken up about, you should speak up about it. And I think that people will be very grateful that you did. And maybe they're Pisceans who didn't want to have to do it themselves. So they'll be glad you did it for them. Be direct, be efficient in your words and your communications. And you can use this strong influence that you have without letting your emotions get in the way. And just kind of an overall straightforwardness is really going to benefit you towards the end of May. So if this is in regards to work, if you need to speak up about something, do it. If it's in a relationship, you know, you might have to be a little more delicate about it than you would be in a career type situation, because it's a person that you love and care about. But if it needs to be said and done, say it and do it, because that's what the cards are actually urging you to do, to not take a back seat in your own life in these last 2 weeks. Let's pull an animal oracle card and tie this whole reading together. Oh, you got the lizard. So it says Dreamtime. Pay attention to your dreams and visions. So it kind of goes along with what we were talking about with the Justice card about putting things into writing. If you've been having strange dreams in these last 2 weeks of May, write them down. And if you don't have a dream dictionary on hand, there's a lot of really good websites where you can look up key words or just random things that you remember from your dreams. There's one in particular called dreammoods.com, which I sometimes use if my dream dictionary doesn't provide enough insight. I would suggest you do that, because I think you are going to be receiving some messages from your guides through dreams, or even through, if you know how to do like automatic writing, where you just kind of get into a meditative state and you just kind of write and see what happens. There could be more messages for you. And I'm like getting chills in my arms and my upper body as I'm saying that. So I think there might be something more specific for you that you really would need to look into inside yourself specifically to find out what it is, because this is a general reading and it's going to be different for all of you. Well, this looks like a very hopeful 2 weeks, and it's looking really good. And as long as you put in the time and effort and the work, and you are realizing your own truths, it looks like you're going to have a great 2 weeks of May. If you enjoyed this reading, please like, share, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And I hope you have a wonderful last 2 weeks of May, and I'll see you guys in June. Thanks. Bye.